Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're going to be taking a peek over here at the Bitcoin price chart because we saw a quick pop here happen in the market after the release of the most recent consumer price index, or CPI, data, coming in with a 0.4 month-over-month inflation, which met expectations based on the forecast, also causing the year-over-year inflation to drop from 5% to 4.9, beating expectations of 5%, coming in with a 4.9. Immediately upon receiving that news, before the markets opened today, Bitcoin's price fired straight up, as did the Dow Jones Industrial Average in pre-market trading. Now, as of record this, Bitcoin's still holding these levels just barely, it looks like, as the US stock market did roll over and take it all back. Now, I'm on pins and needles over here because, as you know, I've been tracking this since April 5th is the first time I brought it up on the YouTube channel. And I started posting about it over here on Twitter on April 10th. And we've been tracking the progress of this as it's been going on. But as we sit here today, we're at this super pivotal moment, in my opinion, that, the question is whether or not we're going to go in and have kind of a cruel summer. In the video I did yesterday, I showed the fixed volume profile gap, in which if we look at the area in which the least amount of Bitcoin has been traded at in this zone, it's all right in here, and that there is no real support building that has taken place right here at this particular price level. Change that color, just to kind of give a visualization that there's been no trading at this price. Anytime we have gotten to it, it is either gone through it like butter or just barely spent a short amount of time in it. The volume in this area is very low. And to do something like this does go ahead and close out all of that volume area to build a nice support in that zone. But getting those things off the screen, what we saw this morning is we saw a pop happen here in Bitcoin. The question is, okay, are we just doing things that we typically do here at the support in an attempt to bounce off of it? It's kind of a short squeeze, get the long liquidity to jump back in, only for the prices to turn over and crumble on themselves. And I feel like we should be having this answer happen very quickly. And I mentioned this in Markets in the Morning today, that if I had to make my best guess on time, which I hate doing because time is very, very difficult to predict, if not impossible, just that we've done enough structurally for this thing to go ahead and make a decision. Are we going to go ahead and break down through it? Or are we actually holding the level of being like a fake out that it's not going to go through and hold the support? So I'm certainly on pins and needles as we sit here right now, if this is just a short squeeze before things turn very ugly very quickly. But the things I wanted to point out to are things that we talk about on this channel a lot, as we all know, or should know, is crash, retrace, reaccumulation, right? And that the structure that we've built here is very similar to that of what a crash, retrace, reaccumulation looks like. As we went back to these retracement levels, we butted into it 3 to 4 different times. We can have structures that do that have their crash, the retracements butting into them, bear flags, shifting down to the lows, crash, retrace, bear flags, shifting down to the lows, that ultimately lead to big moves to the upside, all happening from structures just like this, as we're seeing over here on Bitcoin. The problem is the bigger, broader structure doesn't scream that to me. It does scream, we're going to close out that fixed volume profile range. This could be a short squeeze. It is what we saw over here in the stock market. It was just a short squeeze that turned over and took it all back. But for some reason, Bitcoin hasn't taken it back yet like the stock market has. And so I come to you in this moment saying, extreme caution out here right now. But to show you things that I'm looking for in case things get carried away to the upside. I, for one, don't find it very likely. I find it more likely that we just short squeezed as the stock market did, and that this thing is about to go down into Goblin Town here for just a moment. But we've been talking about this yesterday, and we talked about this on Twitter the day before. Typically, these will plow through the support and break down. It's important to watch because this is where fake outs can happen. And should this support hold, it's time to consider a bottom forming. Eyes on it closely to see if it plows. It has still been holding here. It is still not broken through. And we have seen structures do just this before that do turn their way up. So it's just extreme caution while we're down here at these lows. And I wanted to reiterate that if we see a price move for Bitcoin that heads back up, and we start hitting 30,000s again, I cannot recall a situation where we crash, retrace, and do something like this, head back up here, and then turn over and go down. That if we head back up into these 30,000s once again, that we're going to get through, and this is going to keep going. We're at this level currently where we should stop. This should be the end. This is just that final attempt to get one bounce, run out of strength, and then plow through down and away we go. But I did want to show you this, that if something happened to where we got back up to the top of these retracement levels once again, my tune is going to change very quickly. And that if we get back up here at 29.5 or so or something, even if we don't break through here, I'm going to start screaming that I think we're going to be breaking through. I don't think we're going to. I think we're going to get knocked down from here. I think we're going to come crumbling down. But when I saw this structure really playing out, because I have seen this multiple times before, where we crash, sharp knock back, and then the bear flag and back to the lows. And as we're holding these lows, I have seen this multiple times before. It is something I have seen pan out to turn into craziness and only to eventually go rocking and rolling. And I've seen this several times. And we've talked about crash, retrace, reaccumulation many times with Bitcoin when I did it back in 2018 through 2020 to roll on out. Ethereum in 2017, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, off and away it went. Neo, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, off and away. And just that we are seeing something like that happening here on Bitcoin. And normally, I don't usually have moments where I'm kind of like ringing the alarm of I think something's going to happen pretty soon. Just in either scenario, if all we're doing is this, which still believe this to be the most probable, or if we are holding these supports, we're going to build a foundation here and take off as we do see happen. Like I mentioned yesterday, and like I mentioned today, in Markets in the Morning, I think we're just within days of it happening. I even said 48 hours in my live stream this morning. I think in 48 hours, we're going to know the answer on what this summer is going to actually be like here in the cryptocurrency market. And I wanted to show you the things that I'm looking at. That one, it feels like we have now done enough, and that would have been a final short squeeze for this thing to absolutely turn over and it just get ugly really fast. But if for some reason we shift back up in here into these retracement levels, my tune will change in a heartbeat. I will have believed it was a fake out, that would have been a compelling level for XRP hitting the 200-day moving average, as Bitcoin did earlier in the year, and that the show will go on. So I come to you saying, after weeks of ranging, and 2 weeks ago in consensus saying, I think we have a couple weeks of ranging. I'm here to tell you, I think we have less than 48 hours before a decision's going to get made. I think we're that close. I am on pins and needles. I'm watching nonstop. And I wanted to show you the things that I'm looking for in here is that I'm looking for kerplunk to happen in here. But if Bitcoin shifts back up to the top of this range one more time, I think we're getting through. How do I personally view the probability of it? 15% this happens. 85% this happens. So I much more heavily lean towards the fact that a big move is about to happen in this market right in here. And it's been over a year since I've had that feeling before that we are just moments away from something big happening in this market. I don't usually do that on this YouTube channel. I don't usually come on here and say, it's happening right now. Get ready, count down the minutes. It's not something I do. I do think we're just moments away from something big happening. I just wanted to show you guys this and show you what would make me believe one way or another, right? So this is still primary belief. It's been the belief since I started talking about it on April 5th. So we'll say that's the day I started believing in it. Everything is still following to plan. You can see that typically when we get down here, you typically have one more bounce. That's the end of it. Then it turns over on itself and goes. But I also did want to show you what would happen if prices start getting carried away. And then especially if we got back up near the retracement levels, that we have then suddenly created something very different than what would be going on here. And I always want to show you guys those things if that's falling apart. Right now, it's not falling apart. This is exactly what it should be doing. It's what it's done each time. 2020 and 2021 had this exact same thing. Today is also the exact 2-year anniversary of when things fell apart back in 2021, in which we were doing the same thing in here, right? Story was the same. And just like in there, what do? You typically pause out in here. That's just normal price behavior before the support ends up breaking and things get out of control. So far, that's all this is currently right here. But if we got back up to those retracement levels again, watch out. This thing might be getting on the move. So I'll remove those arrows just for a second so we can get a closer look at all of it. Just kind of being ready. Very rare that I like to make time predictions in any kind of way. But in each of the last two circumstances where this did play out, we were just moments away from things falling apart when we were at this phase. This was the final phase before things fell apart. And I just wanted to show that to you. And again, the goal of this isn't to like scare anybody or be like, haha, I'm wrong-footed. I want prices to go down. No, I'm still bullish for the remainder of the year. It's just normal for this kind of stuff to happen in the middle of the summer. Structurally, we're set up similarly to how those things happen. And eventually, in each circumstance where this did occur, we just had to accumulate, and then we went on to go set new highs. This would be our first kind of prolonged correction that we would have had coming off of the lows from back in November. So this thing has technically been in an uptrend ever since November. We had somewhat of a dip happen in here with the banking crisis, but this would be more of our like real ABC correction happening in here. Those things are normal. Those happen in uptrends. So again, I don't like making time predictions, but you can see it for yourself. We are there at final moments. This is how these things end. Each time we've had that, we've had the same thing occur in here. Every time one of these happens. And that would just be where we are currently right now. But I wanted to make sure I showed you these things. If the price somehow gets carried away higher, well, then we're immediately starting to deviate because then we start looking a whole lot more consolidation. And so my personal thoughts are this answer will come to us within 48 hours. And while Bitcoin has been able to maintain this pop happening in here, the Dow Jones did not. It took it all back. So all eyes on this all day for me. So, all right, guys, that's all I got for you today. We could look at all the different altcoins and all that different kind of stuff, but the market tells me usually Bitcoin's going to be the one to tell us that story of what's going to happen in there. Right now, we're waiting for that story to be told by Bitcoin, and it's at a very interesting price level. We know what we've been following for a month and a half in here. We know we're at the support level. It's time to see if we go ahead and clear right through it or head right back to retracements. If we head right back to retracement levels, I will start getting bullish. But that stock market is kind of issuing a warning in there. And the structure of Bitcoin is issuing a warning in there to just kind of keep the jets cooled for just a minute until that happens. Because many times we see these little pops right here before they drop, as we saw in 2020 and in 2021. So, all right. If we do end up getting it, if it ends up dropping, boom, that's it. I'm deploying capital into the market. I've been patiently waiting, been nibbling, been wanting to like put more money in there. I mean, I'm still long on everything I have. It's not like the amount I'm going to put in is really going to put a dent in comparison to what I already have. But I'm ready to do it if the opportunity does arise. And well, if it doesn't, then it doesn't. But I'm over here biting my fingernails. But all right, that's going to be it, guys. I hope that you're doing well today. Happy Wednesday, my dudes. If you're new to the channel, you tune into the live streams on Wednesday. We act like goofballs on Wednesday. We have a good time in here. Videos, I try to keep them more factual and real. But in the live streams, we tend to have a pretty good time. So thanks for tuning in. Anybody who did, thank you. I appreciate you guys. And of course, the viewer right now, even if you don't tune into the live streams, you just watch my videos, I sincerely appreciate that very much as well. So thank you. But all right, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.